primary age learners in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and Canada for 18 years. So France regularly likes to integrate literature into her language teaching, and she enjoys collaborating with colleagues on many interdisciplinary projects. I'm pretty excited to hear the talk today because it's going to be about the ELLiL Project, which is the English Language and Learning, in-depth learning, which is organized by Nord University Norway and Bishop's University. So I'm quite excited for that. Additionally, we will be having Cesar Augusto Castillo Losada speaking, and he graduated as a teacher of English as a second language in 2007 in Colombia. He also did graduate from a master's degree in translation in 2011. He has worked with adolescents and adults at a secondary and university level. And he's also been working elementary level in Quebec from 2018 in the Sherbrooke School Board. He currently holds a tenure in ESL at Des Avenues School, and some of his academic interests are ESL didactics, materials creation, and ESL teacher training. So these presentations should last about 20-25 minutes, or about till 5. And please write your questions in the chat and feel free to ask questions, but ideally we leave most questions at the end. And keep your mics off during the presentations. The presentation today will be recorded and will be put on the website after. So if you feel uncomfortable keeping your camera on, feel free to turn it off, but we would honestly love to see everyone's smiles for today. With that, I am going to leave it over to our first speaker, unless Sunny or anyone else has anything to add.
Yeah, so before we start, I just want to say that this For Real webinar series is a joint initiative by Bishop's University and also University of Sherbrooke and Laval University. So we have some professors here. So Monica Waterhouse is here. I know Geneviève and Mimi Mazon is also here from UDS. So I just want to say welcome. And I'm going to start the presentation just to give a bit of background to this project and how we came up with this framework. And then I will be very brief, and then I will hand over the time to France and Cesar, who joined the project as mentor teachers, and how they also use the framework in planning their lessons based on children's literature. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so let's see my PowerPoint.
Yes, but it's not full screen. Can you put it full screen? Because we see the side right now. Can you
okay.
Yeah, this is full screen now.
It's good? Okay, thank you. All right, so promote reading for in-depth learning in ESL classroom. It was actually originally a research partnership between Bishop's University and Nord University to promote ESL teachers in using children's literature to support students' language learning, but also their critical thinking, particularly intercultural sensitivity and awareness. And so from the project, we created this framework, and I'm going to explain it very briefly, and you will get to hear it more in depth from the teachers who use this framework in designing the lessons. So the idea is you have a QR code here you can download, and then feel free to download the document yourself also. The idea is these 4 intersecting dimensions. To keep that in mind when you are choosing a book and also when you are planning the lessons. So for a lot of teachers, they always start with the textual dimension. That means what language can I teach here? And which is very natural. For us, we take the word text to expand its meaning, so beyond linguistic, because when we read, right now, particularly at this age, we use a lot of audiovisual material also. So we're talking about reading, listening, viewing. So there are other modalities. They are like language. So the language of movies, the language of dance, the language of art. So when we read, we use these cues to help us to understand what exactly the author is talking about. What is the message? Why they choose this particular color? What does it mean to the reader? So the idea is that we teach, yes, we teach the grammar, we teach the vocabulary, but we also use particularly picture books or videos to help students to understand, to bring in their out of school knowledge, to help them to read for deeper understanding. So that is the textual dimension. The personal dimension is, how do we hook students into loving reading is when they can see why it matters to them. So that personal connection is so important. They can be reading something about someone in Vietnam or in North Africa, but if they can find the point of connections, then it helps them to see, to appreciate why this character is doing this. If I were him or her, would I do the same? So that is the idea of connections. So connections is making the personal connection. So we call it text to self, but it's also text to text. Well, this book reminds me of a movie that I've watched. It reminds me of another book that I've read in French. So that kind of connection will help students to have that deeper understanding. It's not just English is English, French is French, or TV is TV, and then book is book. So again, making the transition from home to school more smooth. And at the end, you can see the text to world connection. Like what is happening in the world? Can I see something similar that is happening outside also? So all these are together to help students to think a bit deeper about the topic that is being discussed. So it's not just about filling in worksheets, but also about thinking deeper, what it means to me in real life. How does this text create this message for me to take on? Is there anything that is missing? Is it just posing a particular point of view that is not being mentioned? So that the students will be able to take on perspective, understanding that, okay, I come from this position, I might think this way. She comes from this different position, she might think this way. So the idea is to have this kind of sharing and be able to see what perspectives are being presented in the text and what is being hidden, what is being missed out. And what about from other classmates' responses? So from the classroom, are there other responses that I have not thought about? And all together, we hope that students can take it one step further. It's not, again, not just about writing exams, but it's about how they react to this story or the issue being discussed in the story, so that they can think of proactive ways, think of things that they can do to make a change. And you see in the middle, and again, we wrote here when selecting text. So it's about, yes, the selection of text, but also when teaching the text. We hope that we can cover these areas. So it's not just about cognitive learning. It's also helping them to make that emotional connections. And at the end, it is the social aspect that they can enact the difference. They can take it one step further. They begin to see beyond the book and to see what's happening in the classroom or at home or in the community, what they can do about it. I am speaking very fast, but I'm thinking that the teachers with the concrete examples, they will be able to further elaborate on this. the main idea is that we want to foster deep understanding. In our design, we're thinking, what is deep understanding? Deep understanding is not just about learning grammar or learning the vocabulary, that they can do the dictation or they can regurgitate what it means. It is really about that they can appreciate what they're reading. They can connect personally to the message for personal development and change. They can think critically about the topic. They can analyze and evaluate meaningfully the impact of the written text in the real world. They can learn about perspective taking, like what I said earlier. They understand why people are feeling this way. They can explore real-world topics vicariously through the characters in the story. Okay, so I think I have rushed through all these. I'm going to, stop sharing for a bit. I'm going to change to another PowerPoint and I'm going to hand over the time to France, who's going to illustrate the framework through the lesson design on we're protectors. We're water protectors. Okay. Oh, sorry. I need to share my screen. Okay. Can you all see it? So I'm going to press this again.
So hello everyone. So my name is France. I teach I teach in Sherbrooke. So I collaborated with Sunny on the project, and we to develop our better understanding and about the framework and implement it in the planning of a unit in the classroom. So I teach. It was implemented in grade 6. I teach in an environment where we have an enriched program at school, so double time of English every week, so 2 hours or 3 hours a week from grades 1 to 6. So by the time that students reach grade 6, they master and they have a high level of competency in English, similar to intensive English at their level. So the planning is based on grade 6 enriched English, similar to intensive English. So we chose the We Are Water Protectors by Carol and Lindstrom. It's a unit that was developed by iSpell, and there's the link in the planning that I will share a little bit later. So I don't know, Sunny, if you can click, because it seems that they are animations on my PowerPoint. They're not supposed to be any, but on the top of each boxes, we will see each components of the framework that will appear. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's how it is. I put it linear because it was the space I had on the PowerPoint, but usually, like Sunny said, they're all interconnected, so they should be like more in a circle type of presentation. So when we chose the book, we selected the book because it was according to the cognitive level of our student, the affective level. They wanted to talk about the environment and the social element that was related to it. So when we planned, so we met as a group, we read the book, we looked at it with all the different components, the textual, personal, critical, creative, and transformative, and we kind of jot down all of ideas that came up as we were looking at the book and discussing the content. So when we looked at the pictures, just by the cover page, we noticed that they were like contrast in colors, dark versus bright, and you will see in the upcoming slides that when we present some pages of the book, that it's really more visible and more prominent. We saw like the lines, wavy lines, and at some other pages it's more like straight lines. We noticed like it could be related to cultural practices related to water. In the text, we noticed capitals letters to put emphasis. They are symbols in the pictures with the black snake, you'll see a little bit later, and the human and non-human world, how we are connected together, and also a lot of circles on humans. So it's the camera angle of the picture that can represent people as Earth or global community. At the personal level, so we wanted our students to share their experience with water, because it's might be different from what Indigenous people have as perception of water, and it could be related to cultural and religious rituals associated with water. We would ask our students if they have tried to protect water. What does it mean to be a water protector? And also there's a musical instrument element in the story that that the students could relate personally if they play music. So, critically, to develop the critical thinking of our students when they read the text. So since it's about water, so we wanted to ask, do you think people can drink clean tap water everywhere? How easy is it for other people around the world to get water? Why is it important to protect water? Can people live without clean and safe water? So all are those questions that makes the students think and connect with different perspectives and different perception about water. And also, the story is based on a real story about a girl who stood against the construction of a pipeline in Dakota. And so we wanted to ask, like, are all pipelines bad? Because the perspective is that it's not good for the environment in the text, but at the same time, is it that bad? Can we, because it's an energy source, what about the water source? So how can we responsibly provide the world's water and energy needs at the same time? And what can we do to protect water, to respect nature in general in our community, at school? So we want them to connect personally, but at the same time, base their actions on different perspectives. So as a project, so they can put all that together and being engaged in protecting the environment at their own level. So they write a pledge, because this is something that appears in the book. They can create a flyer about ways to save water in the community and post it in school. Because we have a project at school where we open the hallways to the community 5 times a year. So we display the students' projects, and they have kiosks and that they do to promote different projects that they did that could influence the community. So that's one thing that we did as a final task. We always need to also, like, put the book in a greater picture, in a big idea, and that's the most difficult thing to think about. Okay, I see Sunny, but that was it's challenging to find the idea that will really, like, what do we want our student to, to remember from that unit. So the big idea for this project was to examine and reflect on the role of humans in protecting the natural environment and each other, and take action to protect water in our daily lives. So that was the main goal.
Can I add something, Franz?
Yeah.
So I think when Franz earlier mentioned that we brainstorm ideas first on each dimension, and then we don't do everything here.
No.
Based on the ideas that we brainstorm, then we narrow it down to the big ideas, and then using that big idea to help us to then streamline and also connect all the different dimensions, so that all the activities that focus on the main goal, the big idea, and help the students through the different activities to achieve the goal. And yeah, I just want to add this.
So the planning and the preparation of the teacher is the main thing, and then it's creating activities that will maximize all that thinking, so the students will take the most of it at the end and be have a better understanding of the book, of themselves, and the connection they can make with the world after and things that they learn in other subjects at the same time. So maybe you can go to you click again. So of course there's always the hook. So that's the planning. It's my PowerPoint I presented to the students. You can click again. So this is the booklet that was created. If you, I don't know if we'll share the presentation, but if there's a link to the booklet that the students receive. So mostly we divided it in 6 lessons. So lesson 1 and 2, the learning targets were mostly to work on prediction and inference reading strategies based on the peritextual features. So it helps students show understanding of the meaning of the key vocabulary words of the story. So we asked a lot of questions. So we looked at the cover page and we asked what they noticed, what it meant, because there are a lot of symbols in the book. So maybe you can click and we can, so key vocabulary that was in the book. So it helped them understand after when we read. Click again, sorry. So we looked at the cover page and after in their booklet, we fill in a chart. So you can click again. So what do you notice about the character in the cover page? What do you think is the emotion that is represented? What are the objects that are represented in the clothing? And what do you think it means? Of course, it was the first time they did this, so we accompanied them. It was mostly whole class activity. And we had prediction questions like, where does the story take place? Who are the protectors? And why is it important for the girl to protect the water? So they start thinking about what the story could be. You can click again. Of course, I use a lot of resources that have been shared in Speak or in other workshops. I try to use the IRME strategy to involve oral interaction. This is something that we use since grade 4, mostly grade 5. So they are used to discuss the different questions. So have you tried protecting something that is important to you? What might a water protector protect water from? Of course, we discuss the question as a group first. We brainstorm ideas, and then in small groups, they give their opinion and what they personally think about these issues. You can click again. So we evaluate, of course, all the competencies. So what I did with this book, I felt there were 3 parts in the book. One part where the girl is in her community, showing how water is present in the indigenous culture. There's a second part where we see the pipeline, and then the third part where she takes action. So that's how I separated my teaching to help them better understand the story. So it's just mostly the book that we will see in the next slide. So Sunny, you can click. So we see like how the line, so it's mostly a picture walk type of teaching. I see a land there, but I know it comes from I don't remember the name of the website with all the books, but that's where I took the idea. You can click again. It's a really beautiful book. I really like the pictures, and even the students, they really felt calm and really attracted to the colors and the way the design of how they drew the little girl. So we see here in our hair, like all the interconnection with nature. And we see like this, the human circle of how it can create a community, and we see appearing the music instrument. So we discuss each picture like this, and they comment and they give their ideas, and I ask questions that are specifically a constellation. Thank you. And you can click again. And that's when, you see like the emotion, like what do you notice? It's always like they saw that the girl was looking at the horizon, and they noticed the pipeline. So they told me that she looked really angry and not happy. And, you know, so they knew something was coming just by looking at that picture. So click again. And then they had like questions to answer after looking at these pictures, and then they could answer like and demonstrate their understanding, and they could interact together by trying to answering these questions. So you can click again. So we have, so how is water a medicine? Because we, in the text, that's what it's discussed. And how is water sacred? And many of the students related it to baptism, like in the Catholic religious culture. So, and then we made a connection with how it is sacred in indigenous culture too. So that's connecting, that's seeing another perspective than our own for the use of water as a sacred element. Okay, so we can continue. So then the second part was, how do you connect with water? That was the question to the students. So how do you connect with water at your own level in your personal life? So that's the personal dimension that we are looking at after looking at the textual aspect of the book. So we looked at different water activities. And then if you continue, they created a poster. They had a group discussion. So how do you use water every day? Why is water important to you? What activities do you do in water? Where, with whom, and how do you connect with nature and water? In what way do you think everything on earth is connected? So they discussed that, and after they create their poster to show how personally, oops, they went a little bit too fast. Go back.
Sorry. Go back.
Sorry. So they create that poster and they have questions to answer. So I use water for, I like to, I go to, water is important to me because, and they represent it with a pic collage using pictures and writing little sentences to describe the pictures that they've chosen. And then we display this in our school so the others can learn about our personal connection with water. And the second part of the book is really like the pipeline. It appears and it creates something in the community. So this is one picture of the book, and they notice like that it's toxic because they see the bones and the bird and stuff. So they notice a lot of things. So you can continue. Again. So those who are quick readers can read the book at the same time. So when I was talking about the lines and the colors and the contrasting colors, so we saw like it was really blue, it was really fluid lines, and now we see the pipeline that appears, and it's really rectangular, really straight lines, and the colors are bright, it's black and it's red. So then we do another analysis of the picture, because there's a symbol with the snake. What does it mean? So you can change the slide. So what do you notice about the colors, the animal, the emotion that it could represent, or what the emotion it might make you feel, and what could it mean, and what is the girl afraid the black snake will do? So it's kind of a prediction because. And not because we saw the first page where we see the toxicity of the fact that the pipeline goes through, actually it's a river in the real story. So this is really, I felt that this activity, we did it 2 times, but the second time they were really noticing the details of the picture more easily because they did it first. And even doing it with other picture books later during the year, they were really getting excellent at finding the details in the picture and the symbols it could represent. So you can continue. So they discuss, how do you think the girl feels about the pipeline going through her land? How would you feel if this was happening in your community? And in one group, I had a student who mentioned Mégantic, because it's not just a pipeline, but some students refer to a train, like the train and the fact that they transport gasoline and stuff. So they kind of connected personally to something that it's not in Dakota, but it's Mégantic, that's really close to Sherbrooke. So that was really nice in the sense that we felt that they were critically like thinking, and they were in depth thinking about what the book could mean to them closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting in the discussions. So you can continue, Sunny. And then that's the third part where she takes action. That's the picture, you know, that sets the tone to what's going to come next. And we see the capitalized letter, like, take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together. And they saw, like, she's determined, she's courageous. So they were naming, like, the emotions that they saw, and they noticed her hair again that is connected with nature. So she represents the nature around her, and she's there to protect it just by her physical action and her position in her eyes. And that's when we look at the community also that stands behind her, that follows her in that, because she's the leader. And continue. So we will do another picture analysis of the symbol, and we see like the fact that the circle comes back again. So there's repetition in the book in the different pictures. Can continue. So then again, we look at the picture. What do you notice about the characters? So most of the students said, well, she's not alone anymore. Other people are with her. The objects, what's the meaning of the feather? The clothing. So they noticed it might be indigenous type of clothing. She might belong to another community. That action, the position of the character, and why is the girl holding a feather? So it relates to the symbol of the feather being like peacefully acting, fighting. So it's not a sword, it's a feather. So she's peacefully indicating that they don't agree about this action, and that's how they manifest. And why are the people holding hands? So we have other group discussions to critically think about what's happening in the book and related it to their own personal experience and the feeling they might have about doing a type of manifestation. So we can continue. And then it's more the part where we connect with nature, and we see that nature, we are all connected to the earth in globally. We are all related, so it says it all. And it shows also like how the community takes care of how they are water protectors, and we stand with our songs and the drums, and we are still here. So they've been protecting water, not just water, but nature for a long time. It's part of their culture. It's part of who they are. Continue, Sunny. And we stand. So that's when we ask students like what they could do to protect their environment and water in general, not just from the black snake, but from other elements that could destroy nature. And when they saw this, they could understand. So after doing all these activities, I presented what was the real story. Like it's from the Dakota Access Pipeline. So we looked at that, and we had a video that we listened to. It's a 2-minute video about the girl who started the manifestation in our community, and she explains how she did it and the impact it had. So they have a visual of the girl that they saw in the book, but now it's a real person. So they even connect even more with the story, because they see it's a girl about their age that is doing something for her community. So you can click again. Yeah, that's the video. And you can continue. And later at the end, and there was a unit created by Lisiane Dallaire, and she had a video from a man called Afro Shah, and he's from Mumbai, and he's cleaning one of the beaches in Mumbai from all the plastic that is gathering from the ocean and from the different countries. And I took the idea because to better understand a text, it's text to self, text to text, but also text to the world. So I took the video that was in the unit and I showed it to the student and I asked them to, do you think he is a water protector and why not? And after we did a comparison, a Venn diagram to compare how the girl in the book and Afro Shah were similar or different. So you can click Sunny. That these are comprehension questions related to the video. And this is really interesting because it creates a deeper understanding of the different perspectives that they saw by reading the book, how they now critically think about the topic and they see another perspective with someone who does a similar action but in a different context, and they kind of understand the different the fact that they can put the information. It's kind of summarizing also a skill that we have to develop. So we kind of summarize everything and we put it in a visual diagram. And this was really helpful to understand what was different, what was similar. And yeah, it was really interesting doing that. They really liked it. And then it's the final task. So how can we act on in our community? So we discussed different questions about how can we save water at school or at home. So you can continue. So we and then we write the pledge and we sign it, saying that we engage ourselves in being a water protector like the girl in the book. You can continue. So then they write their own ideas. And yeah, continue. So saving, wasting water. So what's the difference and what are the actions that are related to each? Because some students didn't know or they weren't sure, so we discussed it. And we can continue. And then they created on Canva a poster to invite the other students in the school and the parents in the community to save water. Yeah, so they chose their pictures and then they chose 3 to 4 actions that were represented, and they had to write a catchy title because it was to convince people. So it's the intention also of the activities that sometimes we tend to write similar text, but convincing is important to write these types of texts so they can take into account the audience, and that's all in our program when we write. It's all in the competencies. So that was something that I felt that they needed to be able to experience in writing. And we use Canva. So I think we're at the last slide, so there are, of course, extra activities that they could do if they were finished either discussing or completing the booklet. Can continue, Sunny. They could read on Epic. So I chose different books that were related to the topic when they were done, especially for stronger students. You can continue. And we also had a video of the author that was explaining, what was her intention in writing the book. So that's another perspective that they could have access to. So you can continue again. For me, mostly when I use the framework, when I was first presented with the framework, I completely saw a major link with our C2 competency in the program. And I tend to easily evaluate demonstration of understanding of oral meaning of text. I evaluate my students in identifying or describing the key elements in the text, selection of information, delivery of a personal product, plan and carry a reinvestment task. But what I had a lot of difficulty in planning and putting my student into situations where they were establishing connection between the text and their own experience, or they could express their appreciation of the text, or they were sharing their understanding of text with others, was really challenging for me. And by using the framework, I felt that the students were, even for me, planning activities where they were better at constructing meaning of text. And in the end, everything else that is not highlighted in the competency was even better for the students. They were doing better in everything. So, I mean, for me, it was a big eye-opening, and I really liked using the framework for this competency mostly because for me, it was challenging to create the activities or the context where the students were connecting with the text. And the last slide is the little poster that ELLiL Racine created. And I explicitly, like she says, it's something that we have difficulty teaching. It's challenging for us, but with the framework and now this little poster, the students better understand what it is to learn in depth about a topic and be able to be critical about what they're reading. And at the same time, they tend to have a transformation within themselves and how they think about a topic just because of the big picture book and how we can put all the activities together. So yeah, and one thing we do at our school is that we are part of another project. I saw Geneviève that had to leave, but she's at the University of Sherbrooke and University Bishop. We work on interdisciplinary projects. So our colleague as homeroom teachers in French, they teach the same topic, sometimes with the same book or another book. So when the students arrive in, and if it's well coordinated, so they can discuss the ideas in French in their classroom, homeroom class. So when they arrive in English and we discuss the topic, but maybe with another text, they already have the ideas in their head. So now we can focus more on the language, on how to express it in English, and we can even go deeper in their understanding of the same subject, the same topic. So this is one way, because Cesar will talk about implementing the framework in another context. And usually when the students are not as much as proficient in English as my students were, this is one way we can do it, the connection with the homeroom teacher, connecting the teaching of the same topic at the same time. Then it can reduce the use of the first language in the ESL classroom. So that was my unit I created with the framework. Hopefully you will like it. But it worked really well in my context. Of course, if you have regular secondary 1, even secondary 2, you can even use that as a unit to help your student be more critical about the protection of the environment. So thank you. Cesar, it's your turn.
Thank you so much, France. I noticed that we only have 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we have time for questions. So maybe I will still, I think I will invite Cesar because I think his contribution is so important here. Yes. Also, because he's going to speak about his experience in the classroom with the regular ESL program. So, but I just want to make sure that it is short. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen, and Cesar, you can start anytime.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me properly? Yeah, good.
Yes.
So, well, I'm gonna be very brief because I know and I was wondering that time is short now. So, listen, the first thing I would like to say is that when after using the framework, I realized that using it gave me the feeling of doing things right. Okay, because I moved from, for example, a vocabulary centered teaching, okay, to a more critical way of teaching students. So in my context, which is another public elementary school, but I only have 2 hours on a cycle of 10 days. That is completely different. Okay, it's a different scenario from France's experience. And my school, it is located in an underprivileged sector. So I have a lot of students who has a low English language competency level. Um, Most of them, or yeah, a good amount of them, they have a low motivation towards ESL learning and some behavior issues. So basically, there in my school, the first thing you need to do is to get that relationship with them, and after you start building on the pedagogical aspect and teaching the language. The picture book that I used was Mr. Tiger Goes Wild. It was a picture book that we chose with all the committee at Bishop's University, and you can move on, Sunny. So basically, Mr. Tiger Goes Wild is the story of a tiger, a wild animal that lives in a society, in a high class society, and he cannot be himself. So in that way, he starts getting ideas of how to go wild. But then the first ideas that he got, he went wild. Well, for him because he's a wild animal, okay? But then he started disrespecting the other citizens, okay, of that city. So, well, the citizens, they got tired of him and sent him, okay, go to the jungle because you're a wild animal. And then, so, okay, I'm going because now I'm gonna be wild. So he went to the jungle, but then he realized that he's alone, that he doesn't have friends, that he cannot play with anyone. So he went back, but when he went back, he realized that also the citizens, they were missing him. So there is that way of going wild, but at the same time being respectful. So we try to make things so students think how you can go wild by respecting other people's values. That was like the big idea for us. So um, that made us think of made the students think of different aspects. And I would like to talk and focus on the benefits on the entire experience. So first of all, if we use the framework, it really stimulates us to think, to search for, or to create meaningful and purposeful activities. It takes us out of the same, behavior of choosing vocabulary-related activities for this context where you just want to keep students busy so that they don't misbehave. But we can use picture books, we can use the framework to motivate students on a different way. So we can engage them by thinking about their experiences, their personal lives, their issues about in society. So that also engages them. That was what I love. So it connects the ESL class with the students' real life and experiences. It promotes a more holistic approach to language learning, so not just vocabulary center. And also, even in regular English, in the regular program, we have to evaluate the 3 competencies, even if we have one. So we need to find the way to be more effective. And this framework allows us to really evaluate the 3 competencies, probably in a shorter way, using just probably not as many activities as France showed in her planning, but a couple of those allowed us to achieve to meet the to achieve the objectives that we set at the beginning of the unit. So very important that the students see meaning and purpose in the final activity, because they had to create an ebook where they proposed a way where they change a current habit that they had. So how can I change? How can I go wild while respecting my friends or while respecting my parents? Okay. So some students, they really thought, for example, oh, you know what? I love using my mobile phone, going on social media, but the thing is that my parents don't let me do it. So how can I go wild? For them, the idea of going wild, it was to use the mobile phone all the time. But then parents don't like that. They have to control the students, kids at home. So they needed to think about that. So that text, The Tiger Goes Wild, gave him an example of how you have to find a way to do what you like to do, but within a context and within a certain framework of rules that we have in society. So that is the thing. So just to finish, because we only have 7 minutes, just to remember, it is a fantastic framework, but both we need to be careful with the planning and the implementing, because in our context, the regular English program, it takes time. So it could be long. So we got to be careful with that. All right. Also, some of our students in my context, they don't speak English very well. And they have been they have been opposed to language learning from grade 1. So when they get to grade 6, they haven't learned much. And then you arrive in class with an activity that they are supposed to think critically, and they need to express ideas and participate in discussions. So they oppose themselves. Again, they still oppose themselves. So when we say strategic use of L1, it means that, yeah, that's right. You want to participate in the discussion? Use French. I don't care. Use French, go. It is valid for me. But at the same time, as a teacher, you're responsible for eliciting more ideas in English. It's not that you're going to hold a conversation in French. You have to use it strategically. Okay? So that you keep the discussion going. And something that I noticed, the transformative part, it is challenging for our students. So differentiation is essential. At the beginning, with the group of the committee, we thought of one activity that, okay, they're going to write an ebook, and then we prepared the handout, the booklet, everything. And then when I started implementing it, I said, whoa, okay, this is too much for them. So I created a different one with different expectations, okay? And then I implemented it. Oh no, this is still too much. Okay, so I created another one, and then differentiation, it's honestly at the center of also creating materials. So when it comes to that, please bear that in mind. So that's it, Sunny. I know we have 5 minutes for questions, okay? But I hope you had an idea of what I did in my school.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Before people leave, I just want to tell you, today is really very, very short, but we have on October 22nd, a teacher conference, and it is a free conference, and it will be supported by the ELLiL project. And we invite teachers to come and do this one-day workshop with us. So we'll walk you through the process, and then we can also, at the end, in the afternoon, we focus on working on the book, and then we can create the unit together. So there is the URL and also the QR code you can scan and register, because it is on October 21st and the deadline is October 15th. So if you need substitution, just send me an email, let me know. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can open up for discussion, question and answer.
Thank you for the presentations. Feel free to write your questions in the chat or raise your hand.
Yes. Ajiro? Is it Ajiro? Ajiro, you have a question? You have your hand up?
Yes, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. I couldn't find the microphone. This has been fascinating, honestly, some really amazing stuff. I was wondering if there was a booklet that went with the Mr. Tiger Goes Wild, because I really related to Mr. Cesar's situation.
Yes, there is indeed one booklet that we created as part of the project, and I will have the chance to present it in the coming event that we have on the 21st.
But the 21st, it's we have to get to Sherbrooke, right? It's not online.
Yeah, but I can share it with you also if Bishops allows me to share the material.
Okay,
Then I have
perfect.
no
Thank
problem
you,
with
because
that.
I think it's the reality of most teachers that teach two periods a cycle. The challenge of doing something like Madame France did, but at a lower scale. So it would really touch a lot of students, a lot of teachers and students for that matter.
Definitely, I think that is really well taken. So that's why we have the teacher conference, and we hope that you can consider coming because we can spend more time working together. As you said, definitely it's still workable, but how do we then scale it down to a level that suits the needs of your class?
Exactly.
We also, we also registered for trying to present it at Speak. So we're waiting for a response from Speak for the Speak convention in November. So that's also a possibility if we are accepted as presenters.
So I saw Monica raising her hand just now. Do you have a question, Monica?
Oh, hi, Sunny. No, well, not really. I was just thinking about how great this work is. And when I'm working with my teacher candidates, my future teachers, and we're talking about response process, which does a little bit, maybe just sort of the personal element primarily of your framework. But it's always struck me really odd that it seems almost absent from the primary level. So I think it's really exciting the work that Cesar and France are doing to bring this into the primary elementary level, regardless of whether it's like really elaborate in France's case or less so in Cesar's case. But the fact that we don't invite students or we don't support that kind of engagement with text is really worrisome to me, because supporting a love of learning right from the start seems so important. Yeah. And I noticed there's in the chat, I was thanking Krista Lynn for adding another resource that she's working with that has a lot of potential for this framework too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll write down the book. And that is why we enjoy the webinar, because people can bring in their resources and share together. So, okay, another question. You just email me, then I will know, because I can, if people would like to attend the teacher conference on October 21st, you can email me. Okay, I'm going to write my email address here, but you can also use the QR code that I shared just now, that you, and I just need to know the number of teachers, and I can make sure that your substitution will be covered. So I think on that note, do we have any comments or last questions?
No, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. We'll see you next month.
Well, thanks for attending. Thanks, Annie.
Everyone, thank you for staying.
Cesar?